Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Lebo Lion, the voice of marketing in Africa, SMME growth strategist, and the host of the Lessons with Lion podcast. Don't forget to check out the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes to get your weekly and monthly dose of everything marketing and entrepreneurship. Now today I want to talk about something that I'm really passionate about. And if you've been following me for a couple of years, you know that I love talking about influencers and the influencer industry in Africa, right? I believe that this industry is huge and it's only going to get bigger and bigger as social media becomes even more and more relevant on the African continent. You know, because before we can even go into that topic, I do have to put out there that a lot of companies in Africa still don't really see social media as a viable tool to create campaigns that can reach their audiences. They're using it as an extra and not as a must-have, you know? They're using it as a nice-to-have, not as a must-have. And if we're looking at global trends, most corporates who are succeeding, who are reaching their audiences, and who are doing really well in terms of sales have amazing social media strategies, and they're deeply rooted in influencer marketing. I really urge all African companies to revise how they perceive social media and to make it an integral part of marketing strategies because the future is online. So let's get into influencer marketing. How do you choose the right influencers for your campaign? And remember guys, we use these terms, whether you have a big business or a small business, a campaign is a campaign. So if you don't know what a campaign is, a campaign simply means any kind of project that you're creating that's gonna allow you to achieve an objective, right? So if you're going to have an influencer marketing campaign, you could be creating a project that's allowing you to promote your product or service to customers using influencers. That's basically what a campaign is, a project that you create to achieve an objective in your business. So how do you choose the right influencers for a campaign? It's actually very funny, and I always laugh about this because it's a very tricky topic, and if you go online, people are always having brands for the influencers that they pick. If we use a case study like Huawei, for example, Huawei just announced that they've chosen Minnie Lamini, Vusitembe Gwayo, Tando Tabuti, and I can't remember which other celebrities to be their main brand influencers and ambassadors. And they're using the hashtag something like visual photography, you know, or visionary photography, hashtag visionary photography. And a lot of people on social media got really upset because they were saying, but what do these people have to do with photography? These things don't align. Surely they should be using someone like Austin Malema or Cyril Zuma or any photographer really who knows something about visionary photography. Why are they using celebrities who have nothing to do with photography as their ambassadors for that hashtag visionary photography? So it's also very important for us to recognize that customers are not dumb. And with social media, what social media allows them to do is to share their opinion if they're not happy with a campaign that a brand has created. And so it means that as brands, we need to be very intentional in the influencer marketing campaigns that we create so that people can actually feel like we're being genuine and authentic when we create these campaigns for them, and they don't feel like we're just posing, and that they don't feel like you think they're stupid and they won't see past what you're doing. Because all it takes is one person to point it out on social media and then everybody sees it. So you have to be very careful and creative and intelligent when you're creating your influencer marketing campaigns. So how do you pick the right influencer? I think from the Huawei example, we can deduce that one of the biggest things that you have to think of when you're picking an influencer is they need to be authentic to your brand, right? So don't pick somebody who is a vegan if you're promoting a butchery. That doesn't make any sense, you know? And people are gonna see through it. So pick your influencers who are authentic to your business. Pick influencers who are authentic to your cause. That's the first thing. If you want people to think that you're not a credible brand or that you're a brand that lies, then pick influencers who don't align with your campaign, right? So pick authentic influencers. That's the first thing. The second thing when you pick influencers is don't just look at their numbers, right? Because right now, as the social media landscape exists, it's not about quantity of followers anymore. It's about the quality of followers. So you need to pick somebody who's got followers who would really resonate with the product or service that you're selling. Don't just pick someone because they have a lot of followers. A person can have 1 million followers and you still won't get one click on your website or one purchase of your product just because they're not the right fit for your brand. So make sure that when you pick somebody based on their followers, that you understand what kind of people follow them, you know? So if you're a product, for example, that works in the baby industry, you create toys for little babies. Maybe you might want to partner with Mpumi Ledwaba because she's a very big parenting influencer and she's got children. So it makes sense for that partnership to make sense, and most of her content that gets the most likes is the content about parenting. So don't pick people just because they have a lot of followers. Really check on the quality of their followers. You're better off working with somebody who has 500 followers who can really resonate with your message than 1 million followers who don't care about anything that you're offering them. So be authentic. And the second one is, be sure that you pick an influencer who has the right kind of followers. It's always quantity over quality. The third thing is, you need to pick an influencer who you have a good relationship with, or who you can foresee that you guys can have a good partnership. So over and above the numbers and the authenticity, does this person align with you? Do you guys have share vibes? You know, it's very important, because when you're adding an influencer into your business, they become a part of how you do things. And if that person doesn't align with your brand values, doesn't gel with your team, then it's going to make it very difficult to make your objectives achievable. So make sure that you pick a person who fits you guys, because when you work with somebody who you like and who you get along with, chances are you'll be able to have a really great campaign, but also most importantly is that they can have a long-term relationship with you, which is the fourth point. Pick someone who you can have a long-term relationship with. Why is it important to have a long-term relationship with an influencer? The simple truth is that every time you add something new to your business, you have to create new systems and you have to create new educational tools that show that person how things work, right? So when you work with somebody who's been in your business, or someone who you've worked with for a while, what happens is you don't have to spend so much money educating them and getting them familiar with how your business does things. And that means that the speed of communication and content creation becomes faster, because you guys already have a vibe and a way of working that's already established. So you want to pick somebody who you can foresee a long-term relationship with, to make your working relationship and your output better and higher quality over time. The more you chop and change influencers, the more disjointed your brand messaging is going to be, and the more disjointed your social media messaging and presence is going to be. So those are my 4 main points of choosing influencers. There's so many more, but for me, those are the most important ones. Tell me how you've been picking influencers for your business. Are you thinking about picking influencers? Well, then you've come to the right place. Use these points and let me know how they work for you. If you've got more questions about influencers, don't be afraid to email me. And until next time, don't forget to listen to the Lessons with Lion podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. The Lessons with Lion podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and let's have a marketing party. Toodles.